Next, we have Mr.
Hello, good morning.
Mohammed Farooq amongst us. Welcome, Mr. Mohammed Farooq. So, I would just let you all know.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Mohammed Farooq is a network architect for decades, served in various leading technology companies in India and abroad. His passion for contributing the sustainability of nature is motivated him to turn as an e-waste recycler expert for more than 1 decade. He has improvised technology for e-waste recycling on his officer of World Scrap Recycling Solutions Private Limited, an authorized e-waste recycler in Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Mohammed Farooq will be presenting on e-waste in automotive sector. The stage is all yours, sir. You can
Thank you very
begin
much.
with your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much giving me opportunity to present here. Uh, Good afternoon to all of you. And I'm the Director, Planted and CTO of World Scrap Recycling Solutions Private Limited. We have two plants onto the holy lands of in Tirupati, where the Lord Balaji resides. We did set up two plants there. One is the refurbishing facility, other one is the end-to-end e-waste management company. So today's topic that has been given to me is recycling in automotive sector. You see, this thing is a very new thing in for us as a recycler. Whatever we did set up all the plants. Uh, you can name it in all directions of the India. We did set up all those plants according to the e-waste recycling. And when we are talking about the refurbishing, then all those things have been set up according to the refurbishing of the electronic waste like laptops, desktops, and all other kinds of e-waste. Now, here comes the opportunity of the automotive sector that is a very huge opportunity for us as a recycler. Uh, Already lots of data has been given earlier by my colleagues, so I would not go into the data itself. I would rather simply give the presentation in a very simple format, and I will try to make all of you understand what is a recycler's perspective in terms of recycling those automotive parts. So the production of the automobiles results in generation of e-waste materials. These materials are a composition that I'm going to tell you, like steel frames, glass windows, rubber tires, batteries. Earlier it was lead batteries. Now it is we are going towards the lithium ion, copper wires, as well as traces of metals like zinc, magnesium, tin, platinum, cobalt, and all those other things. The concentration of the ferrous metals has declined considerably as vehicle producers have opted for lighter and fuel efficient materials, and that is very good for us as a recycler. When we talk about the management of the e-waste, then here comes the a very competitive and key India right now, and we are matured enough in the refurbishing of the electronic waste. Still, we are not matured in recycling. Professor, that we should rather go for the refurbishing when, as a recycler, I'm going for a refurbishing of the automotive parts. That when we are going to refurbish the automotive parts, then whole lots of new infrastructure I need, whole lots of new training we need to give to our employees. Then how we need to refurbish it. You see, lots of refurbishing is going on. I would not say that the automotive parts refurbishing is a new term here in India. No. the refurbishing is going on, but it is in the informal sector. When you see something it's not working in my car or anything, then obviously I will call a local dealer, most probably to save the money. They will come and they will take the material, then they will put it to the lathe machine, whatever, so whole lots of new things. But it is not into the formal sector. Then again, new demand is created, like we need to again train all those persons, and then we need to take those expertise and we need to formalize them. You see, India is generating a new policy for the scrappage of the vehicles, and as a recycler we are more interested into the electronic parts of those vehicles as well as the metals. As you can see in the slides, that it is consisting of so many things. The GPSs are there, the players are there, the internet access, like we are moving towards the 5G technology, and it would be a huge transition towards the I would rather say that it would be a great inventions towards the 5G transition into the vehicle automobile industry. The mobile phones, that whole lots of new things. When you see, even I would take the industry which is designing the cars, which is designing the car systems, brake system, everything. They are also using this is called the sub industry of the automotive industry. Like they are designing the parts of it. By designing those parts, again they are using the systems, laptops, and a whole lots of other things. Then again, this whole these things is a again a opportunity for us as a recycler. The composition of the vehicles is already, you see, the most of the 80% of the vehicle composition is consisting of the ferrous and non-ferrous metals. The plastic is one part of it, glasses, tires, and fluids. When I'm talking about the fluids, then here comes the main things, because when you this is the first thing done as a vehicle comes to ELV. The outside and the engines have been cleansed and the tires removed. The automobile is drained by doing away with vehicles or automotive fluids and the parts surrounding fluids. Draining is important because of the danger involved in likely pollutions as fluids finish on the storage area, together with the danger of the subsequent swelling of remaining waste. It is same like as we are doing the recycling of the compressors of the ACs and the refrigerators. We need to take care of the oil, and that oil needs to be again stored in a tight containers, and it needs to be given to the recycler of the oils. The average vehicle, I've already told that it consisting of so many parts, then battery, fuel tanks, seat cushions, dashboards, bumpers, and other things. As a recyclers, we are mainly interested into the 4 parts, and I'll go through them one by one. The management of the plastic waste. This is one of the important part for us as a recycler, because I would not say that we are matured enough into the plastic recycling. Still, we are developing it, and whole lots of new things are coming into the plastic recycling as well. As a recycler, we are more interested into the pyrolysis, and whole lots of new technological things are available in the plastic recycling. Like, first we need to shred it. As a recycler, we'll make the granules out of it, and then if we want to further process it, then we'll go for the pyrolysis. Now I'll come to the glass waste. The glass waste is also one of the part that it is a hazardous thing for us as a recycler. Then we need to take care of the breakage of the glass. Again, it is a whole lots of new transition towards the we need to take care of our employees and whole those of other things. I would be rather interested into the technical transition of the glass towards the synthetic glasses. Like it is safe for the vehicles as well, and it would be easy for us to for us as a recycler to process it as well. Now I will you see, for the glass we need to remove it from the vehicle and sorted by type according to the proposed and use, like laminated silver printed rear windows, the average time for the operation is around very much high. Then there is a shredding process. I've already told you about the shredding. Then here comes the rubber part. The rubber, when I'm speaking about the rubber part, the gaskets are there and the tires is there. Tires, automotive tires are made of synthetic rubber, which is obtained from petroleum. Then again, it will go towards the pyrolysis process that we are very interested as a recycler. And but again, I told you that we are not matured enough into the plastic and rubber recycling. Current disposal methods of automobile tires are like landfill, shedding of the waste tires before disposal has been done for size reductions. Presently, about I think 70% of the tires would go into the landfill area. Then devulcanization. Devulcanization means reverting rubber from its thermostatic properties. Then we can process it further. Now, management of metal waste. You see, metal waste is like it is a bit easy for us as a recycler. We only need to do the pre-treatment, like during pre-treatment, vehicle component that contains dangerous and toxic substances are removed. Example of such components are the operating fluids like different oils and fuels, and the batteries, the oil fillers, the components containing mercury, devices like the airbags, which contain explosive substances. Most of the parts removed in this stage are recycled or further treated and disposed according to the rules and regulations. And here we need all these things. What as a recycler we are doing, we need to keep it under the rules and regulations defined by the Pollution Control Board of India. Then there is a dismantling part. Dismantling part is a bit easy part for us. We need to only take out the metals. Already in the earlier presentation, sir has told about the neutralization of the energy consumption. You see, the neutralization of the energy consumption, I'm into a view that we cannot neutralize it, but to some extent we can curb it. When we are making a vehicle, it is an automated section through automated screwdrivers. Everything the vehicle is assembled very easily within hours. But as a recycler, when I'm doing the same thing, I need to invest huge amount of money into the same disassembly lines. Then I would rather go for the economical thing. Then it would take some time. And when we are taking the time, again, the neutralization of the energy and the consumption of the energy parts comes in. What I'm saying that we cannot neutralize it. Yes, we will try to curb it. Then the shredding part. Shredding is one of the most important. The goal of the shredding is to reduce the volume of the remaining waste, and at the same time separate the material in a more homogeneous fraction in order to make their recycling easier. Shedding residue treatment, shedders residue like constitute the remaining almost 25 to 30% of the weight of the vehicle. Now, already I've talked about all these things as a recycler. What is the draining metal waste, plastic waste, glass, rubber waste, and the neutralization of the energy sector. Now I will go to a very important part of it, that is the batteries. Already my colleague Mr. Rao is going to talk on batteries, so I would not talk too much on the batteries, but I would touch the part of the batteries. These batteries are chiefly made up of the lithium, cobalt, nickel, iron, copper, and aluminum. And as a recycler, I am interested into all these materials. The life of the EV battery, already it's been told earlier in the presentation that it is almost about 3 years to 5 years, depending on the usage of the vehicle. Then we can use those batteries into the secondary applications. Like they can be repurposed for the other things like inverter and all other things like the LED for the straight lights, and whole lots of new things are there by using the solar technology, infusing the solar technology along with those batteries. The second is the last thing. When they are not in a use, they can be sent for a recycling directly to the recycler. Through that, we will do the battery recycling, and that is going Mr. Rao is, I think, going to talk about that thing. Now, this is one of the most important part, that as a recycler and as a producer of the automobile sector, this is it would be a close. There should be a close relationship between how we are going to take care of those vehicles, and that is extended producer's responsibility. That is called APR. It was introduced in the E-Waste Amendment Act 2016. Government talked about it very specifically, how in the first year 10, 20% in the second year, 30% in the third year, it needs to be taken care of. EPR is a force behind the adoption of the remanufacturing initiatives, because it focuses on the use treatment of consumer products and the product recovery, and to minimize the overall impact of the things on the waste scenarios. Though it is already clearly defined here that at the end of the car's life cycle, the producer needs to ensure that the worn out cars and its part are not left lying around onto the open area. And by using the EPR properly, doing a proper agreement with the recycler, most of this part we can take care. So when tracking of the things needs to be done, when a producer of the material, when they know, okay, we have sold around 5 million cars or 10 million cars, and at the end of the government defined scrappage policy, like 15 years, 20 years, we need to take them back, or they need to be, we can educate our person who is buying the cars that, okay, this is the 15-year policy, then how you are going to take care of car. Then there is a whole lots of another debate on that thing. Okay, I am taking care of my car, then I can go it for another 5 years. That is about the fitness certificate. But we, at the end of the life cycle of the car, we can teach our person that, okay, at the end of the car's life cycle, you need to give it back to us as a producer, or you may give it to the recycler. And this we can do, this kind of agreement, this kind of knowledge, this kind of education can be given at the time of the sale of the vehicle. And that is how we are going. We can take good initiative about all this extended producer's responsibility thing. Apart from making financial saving, this also decreases resource dependencies, above all reduces the impact of industry onto the environment. And that is how the circular economy and closed loop economy, all those of new concepts, we can take care of them. When I'm talking about companies to design products for reuse, recyclability, and material reduction, I'm not in a position as a recycler to direct them. Yes, it is a market-driven process, but I would really request them, and it is the need of the hour, that they would design their products in such a way that it can be recycled in a easy manner. Now I will talk about our process, what we are doing right now. When I talk about, yes, I'm wrapping it up.
You have just 5 minutes left for the presentation. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So by doing all this kind of, we did set up 2 facilities already. I've told you at Chennai, at Tirupati, we have 1 facility at Chennai. Soon we are going to set up a big facility in North India, that is at Noida. We have our collection center in every part of India, in most of the big cities. When I do dismantling, shredding, segregation, content recovery, metal refining, I do create some hazard. And by doing those hazards, I do some remedies. Like if I would go for the ETP bag filter, cyclone, TSDF, zero water discharge, rainwater harvesting, that we are 33% plantation, and that all those things we are doing by taking care of the safety managements and passing those safety managements. This is some of our facilities views. With that, I'm going to conclude this presentation. Hope I've given some perspective of the recycler's view. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. Now we can continue with the Q&A session. So everyone can post their questions in the question box. Please avoid putting it in the chat box. Farooq sir, you can look for questions in the question section, not the chat box.
Yes, I'm looking.
Yeah, okay. We have first question by Mayank Sharma. He has asked, how do you see lead battery recycling in coming days, considering the fact that it happens mostly in unorganized sector?
Okay. This question has been asked by Mr. Mayank. Okay. So lead acid battery recycling is already matured enough in India. When we are talking about the lead acid battery recycling, there are whole lots of companies which are present here in the India. They are doing a tremendous, marvelous job by doing the recycling of the lead acid batteries. We are when we are talking about the automobile sector. I think it is the need of the hour. We need to talk about the lithium-ion batteries. Lead batteries is proper matured enough. All I can say right now.
Next, we have a question by Rajesh. He has asked why India
Okay.
recycle is so complex.
You see, Rajesh, the chemistry of the battery is far complex. So that is why the battery cycling in India, it's everywhere is complex. If you're talking about the rules and regulation which are governing the battery recycling, then yes, it needs to be complex to direct the recyclers and to curb the whole circular economy around it, because we cannot give the easy part into the battery recycling. And when we are talking about the battery recycling in the recycling process, yes, it is a far more complicated process. We need to the battery needs to go through whole lots of new processes. If I talk about the lithium ion, rather I don't want to touch it too much because my colleague is going to talk on that. When you put a puncture into the lithium ion, when it comes into the contact of the oxygen, immediately it will catch fire or explode. So by that thing, you can understand that we need to go through a there is whole lots of new process. We need to cut into a vacuum chamber and then so many new things. Yes, the process is very much complex and it needs to be. How will increase, there's a question from Nishant, how will increased electronic components used in automobiles such as ADAS will affect automotive electronic recycling? Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for us, Nishant. You see, I would be rather happy if more and more electronics is being consumed into the automotive sector. More electronics, more content recovery, and there would be a green for the recycler. Yes, I would be more interested if it would become easy for the recycler. It would become easy for the government. It would become easy for you see, in terms of tracking of the vehicle, in terms of taking a part of the vehicle. When more electronic parts are there, yes, they are confusing a bit, but when you are trained enough, you can easily dismantle them. Yes, embedded integrated circuits can be recycled very easily. When there are chips, green chips, black chips, all lots of new chips, then we do the content recovery. That is the precious metal recovery out of it. That is gold, silver, palladium, and so many things. Government, it is the initiative of the government to support the battery recycling. You see, uh, if you take a battery and throw it on the ground, then what will happen? The rain will come in, the material, heavy metals will leach into the grounds, and then again the diseases will come out, kidney diseases, heart diseases, mercury contamination, so many things. You see, halogens and normal bulbs are, they may be outdated, but for us as a recycler, nothing is outdated. We only need to dismantle them. You see, when I talked about the glass, then again, if I break a halogen, I need to break the halogen in a more mannered way. And then there is a tungsten and so many metals are there. I would take out those things. In terms of LED bulb, there is a circuitry is there. Then uh, it would be easy for us to do that. There is nothing outdated for a recycler. Yes, we did set up one of the largest Li-ion battery recycling facility at Tirupati, and it's in the final stage already. We have some patents for the same as well. If for I would give you a almost 7,000 metric ton we have allocated for the battery recycling, lithium-ion battery recycling, and that is very huge. Yes, e-waste recycler can take the lead acid batteries without the smelting furnace also. There is no need of smelting furnace to recycle the lead acid batteries. It is not mandatory. Yes, we need to take out those lead acid batteries. Very dismantling process is a bit actious, but furnace is not necessary part of it. We do have the furnaces. We have around 3 furnaces, but I cannot tell that without furnace how I'm going to recycle the lead acid batteries.
Sorry to interrupt, sir, but we would be wrapping up with the Q&A session, and all the queries and questions can be asked to Mr. Farooq by his email ID, and I'm putting the email ID in the chat box, so everyone can reach out to him. Thank you, Umar Farooq, sir.
Thank you very much.
We were pleased to have you on our conference, and we hope that you would be interested in joining us later on
Yes.
for the other events as well. Thank you so much,
Yes.
sir.
God bless you all. God bless India. Thank you very much.
This session will be ending right now. The next session will start soon.